Hello everyone, and welcome back down here to the Gamer's Den with me, your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire, continuing us right on along with the Occultist Guide. Now, I said last time we were done with the implements, we're done with the focus powers, and that's kind of true. Normally, this is where I would go on and cover the feats that we want for the particular build we're putting together here. But we can't go on to that yet. We have to cover spells now, because spells are so fundamentally tied to the implements. And so we're going to go ahead and just get into it now and move ourselves right along. There's a few things you need to know first, though. When it comes to spellcasting as an occultist, you can cast spells without preparing them ahead of time, meaning all you need to do is get your full rest and get all your spell slots refreshed. And the next day, if you can cast 3 first-level spells and 2 second-level spells, then you can fire those, whichever spells are in your spell list, you can fire those out, and then it doesn't matter what order you do it in or how they're prepared or whatever. None of that matters. You just burn up the spell slots until they're gone. The other thing to know is your spell list is limited by the implements you have selected. Each time you select an implement school, you select one spell for each spell level that you can cast that's tied to that school. So if you take an Abjuration implement, you select one spell from each level that you can cast for that implement. So if you can cast 4th level spells, you select all the way up through 4th level. You do the same thing picking out of the evocation spell list when you select evocation, and on and on. Selecting an implement from the same school allows you to add more spells known from that school. So if you select evocation twice, then each of those has different spells that you select for them. You can't select the same spell twice for different implements, or it seems like you can. It's hard to say, but the thing is that you wouldn't want to select the same one. You want a more diverse range of spells. If you're focusing on evocation and you want to build up a range of evocation spells, say 3rd level you want to have Fireball and Lightning Bolt, well, then you would need to select on one evocation implement for your 3rd level spell, Fireball, and then the other one you would select Lightning Bolt. So, like I said, this is a learning experience for me. It's a little bit confusing, and I believe I'm describing it well, and from what I can tell, that information is accurate. If you want to double up, I would allow a player to put Fireball on 2 separate implements, but it doesn't seem like you really need to. If you know it on one and you have the implement on hand and you can cast 3 first-level spells, you just fire off Fireball 3 first-level spells, 3 third-level spells, then you just fire off Fireball 3 times. So, anyways, when you unlock more spell levels, you add in a new spell level known for that level for each implement. So if you unlock 5th level spells and have 3 implement schools, you get 1 5th level spell for each of those implements. So it will progress and it will unlock, and this gives you room to plan and think about how you've been playing, how you've been enjoying your build. Do you want to swap spells out, which you can do every couple of levels or so. You get the option of swapping out a spell for a different one if there is another one for you to select. And then losing an implement limits the spells that are tied to that implement to being cast at their level. So if you have a level 1 evocation spell that you cast while you're missing your evocation implement, it will be cast at 1st level, even if you're a level 10 occultist. So this is in addition to any focus points that you may have invested in the implement and will limit the usage of your focus powers. So do not lose your implements. Or if you're fighting other occultists, take their implements, destroy them, break them if you have to, whatever you need to do. That will cripple them. That will massively cripple their ability to function, as you can probably see and tell just from covering the focus powers that you get from having implements, from selecting the different focus powers as you advance. absolutely will massively cripple an occultist if they lose their implements. So don't lose yours. You lose your spellcasting punch, you lose all your focus powers, those focus points. It's a pain in the ass if you lose them. But to that end, now we actually need to cover the spells, and we're going to go in alphabetical order from the different schools like we did with the focus powers. So we start off with Abjuration spells. And for 0 level, we don't have much choice. There's only the one, and it's resistance, and you're never going to use this. Very rarely will you ever use this. Casting time is a standard action, range is touch, and the target is the creature touched. The duration is 1 minute, and you give the target a +1 resistance bonus to all saves. This is immediately made obsolete by Cloaks of Resistance, which are fairly common and are something you should be picking up. All character classes should be picking them up. Level 1, we have Warding Weapon, which is a much better choice. Standard action again, range is personal, and target is yourself, and it lasts 1 round per level. And what this does for you is your weapon will protect you as you cast spells without having to cast them defensively. Because your weapon is actively protecting you as if you were wielding it, you can freely cast your magic without having to cast defensively and use an action. Why would you cast defensively? Well, you would do it normally to prevent attacks of opportunity coming down on you, or at least help to prevent them. So using this spell to free up your ability to cast more spells is very, very useful. This is a really cool ability. The only caveat to this is that opponents with the disruptive feat are unaffected by this spell's effect. So they are still able to get through and threaten you. So if somebody is attacking you that has a disruptive feat, the DM will or should be telling you, unless they're mean and really want to just surprise you, hey, it looks like he's going to be able to hit you, you may want to think about casting defensively and at least give you that option. But, wouldn't put it past the DM to surprise you in that fashion. But if that's what happens, that's why. They have the disruptive feat, so you will need to cast defensively even if you have this spell active. So, forewarned is forearmed. And then after that, speaking of being forewarned, we have Resist Energy. It's a standard action, range is touch, target is creature touch, and it's a generous 10-minute duration per level. So by the time you're level 6, this will last you a nice hour long. So you give the target 10 resistance to a specified energy type. So fire, ice, lightning, electricity, acid, sonic, all the different wonderful damage types you might encounter. And the great thing about this spell is that this increases to a 20 at 7th level, and then 30 at 11th level. So it's nice that this scales without you having to learn later versions of the spell. Really, really good to have. The only thing is that you need to know ahead of time what kind of damage you're taking. Although you can use a standard action in the middle of a fight, it's better if you know ahead of time if you're going up against, say, a white dragon that has an ice breath attack. So that way you or somebody else can be warded ahead of time and reduce that damage, because opening up with a breath attack is kind of standard operating procedure for most dragons. And then, going on from there, we have another classic that has made its way to another spellcaster's spell list, and that's Dispel Magic, kicking in at 3rd level. It's a standard action, range is 100 feet plus 10 feet per level, and the target is one spellcaster, creature, or object. The duration is instant, and this doesn't have any spell saves to it, because you're dispelling magical effects. You temporarily suppress the effects of a magic item and an ongoing magic effect on a target, or counter a spell cast by an enemy caster, making a dispel check 1d20 plus your caster level against the caster level of the spell, effect, or ability. And this can help prevent a lot of damage. This can help prevent your opponents from getting buffed, or your allies from being debuffed, or any other ways that spellcasters can play merry hell with everybody's formation, their action economy, all of these very important things. And it's just great when somebody thinks they're protected and you strip away that protection from them and make them that much more vulnerable to your allies. Really, really good to have. And if you and your wizard buddy have this, well, go to town, my friends. But we also have more for you. At 4th level, we have Freedom of Movement, an incredible thing to get. It's a standard action, range is touched, target is creature touched, and it's another great duration, 10 minutes per level. You allow yourself or target touched to move and act freely for the duration of the spell. Grapple checks will automatically fail. Magic effects that affect movement, such as the web spell, will have no effect on you. And so Tangling Roots and Everard's Black Tentacles, which grapple you, this negates that. You automatically succeed at Escape Artist and grapple checks to escape if you are already being held, considering that grapple checks otherwise automatically fail against you. This also affects your movements and ability to attack underwater, allowing you to do so freely without being impeded, as you normally would be. So, if you didn't know why you would want this spell beforehand, now you do. And then for 5th level, we have Stoneskin Communal. You also get regular Stoneskin earlier, but it does get kind of expensive to cast. This has about the same cost, but you can share it amongst everybody. It's a standard action, range is touched, target is the creature's touched, and its duration is 10 minutes per level. You divide the 10-minute duration amongst targets in 1-minute chunks. So, by the time, you're level 15, well, that's 150 minutes that you can divide up amongst everybody, and you divide it in, again, 1-minute chunks. So you can get everybody a generous amount of time with this added protection. And it grants a damage reduction of 10 unless they're hit with adamantine weapons. So this will block 10 damage a level, maxing out at 150 damage blocked, and then the effect will end. So it will block 10 at a time. So if you take 20 damage every round for 15 rounds, you will subtract 10 damage from that, because the max it will block is 150 points of damage. After that's accrued, it goes away. And 150, it's basically an extra 150 hit points that you can provide to your allies. Absolutely great to have, especially since there's not a lot of adamantine weapons out there. Even some of the most terrible and villainous of big bads, their captains and lieutenants, not all of them, very few of them will have an adamantine weapon. One or two might, and especially if they realize that it's going to be a great way to deal with you because the spell comes up a lot, well, that'll be its own bridge to cross when you come to it. But up to that point, this will still provide an incredible layer of protection that you absolutely want to have. And you want to pick this up in particular for the build we have running here, because we have lighter armor. The Occultist has a D8 for hit dice, which is not bad, but given that we're going to be a frontline fighter, we want all the protection we can get, and getting 150 extra points of damage automatically blocked for us is huge. So get this spell. It's damn near essential for the build we want to go for. And then at level 6, we have Globe of Invulnerability. It's a standard action, ranges a 10-foot area with a 10-foot radius sphere centered on you, and the duration is 1 round per level. What it does is spells of 3rd level and lower are unable to affect you and other targets inside of the sphere. Spells may be cast through or out of the globe. This is actually not bad at all. It's pretty solid. It's only limited by the fact that you're using a 6th level spell to block 3rd level spells. Now, that's not nothing, and the fact that you can block in an area is what really saves us and makes it much better. And the fact that you can still cast spells out of it also doesn't hinder its utility. It's just the only thing that kind of chafes for me a little bit is you're using a 6th level spell to block 3rd level spells, and 3rd level spells is where things really start to get interesting for spellcasters, meaning you're not blocking the more dangerous ones from 4th level on up. Not that 3rd level can't be dangerous. The slow spell is a nasty thing to get hit with. But there are worse things. There are much worse things to get hit with. But again, this is a good choice to get. This will not hurt for you to select. out of the list of options. And since we want at least one Abjuration implement to get Stoneskin Communal, you're not going to hurt yourself at all by putting this on your spell list. Certainly, this has been a pretty good selection all the way around. I mean, the only downside has been the resistance spell, and that's way back at level 0 and is not going to be that much of a detrimental impact at all. So, this has been the Abjuration spells, the start of the Occultist spell guide. I hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. Hit the like button or the dislike button and voice your opinions. Which spells do you think would make adequate, even excellent, my brain skipped off there for a second. Which ones do you think would make good alternates for this particular spell list? Certainly there's the range of application is only limited by our imaginations, and I went with the ones that seem to be the most obviously mechanically beneficial. And as much as I tout the fact that I'm the master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire, I am not always right. I am human and fallible despite the omniscience I play at. So, let me know in the comments down below, and if you wanted to see more videos, well, good news for you. I've got 2 more popping up over this way. One, up top here, is something the almighty, all-powerful, all-knowing, and all-seeing Google Rhythm has decided that you will enjoy from the channel here. The other is another video that I've just done recently, and I think you will find to be fantastic as well. Or, if this hasn't been your first stop and you've watched a couple of videos so far, well, there must be something you enjoy about this, so go on down there and hit that subscribe button and become a regular member here at the Gamers Den. But, with that said, I've been your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. Thank you all so very much for your time today, and you have yourselves a good night.